Welcome back, everyone, to the Remedify Coaching Program podcast. Today, we're taking a deep dive into two pretty incredible parts of your immune system, T cells and natural killer cells.
Yeah, these are really fascinating.
I'm excited to unpack this. You can think of your body as like a really well-defended city, right?
Yeah.
And these cells are like these specialized units that are constantly working to keep you safe from all kinds of invaders.
Absolutely.
So we're going to explore what these cells are all about, how they function, and most importantly, how you can support them and maybe even give them a boost.
Yeah, and for this deep dive, we are turning to a guide called A Comprehensive Guide to T Cells and Natural Killer Cells. Function, sources, and potentiation.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is, but it's packed with really valuable information, and we're going to break it down for you.
Excellent. Let's start by understanding what each of these cells actually is. So T cells, those are also called T lymphocytes. What's the key thing to remember about them?
Well, they're a type of white blood cell, of course,
Yeah.
but the really interesting thing is they mature in the thymus gland. Ah, that's where they get the T from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely essential for recognizing and responding to specific threats.
Okay, so it's not just one type of T cell doing all the work, right?
No, not at all.
There are different kinds, each with their own unique role.
Yeah, think of it like a specialized army with different units.
Okay, I like that.
So you've got your helper T cells, which are also known as CD4 plus cells. You can think of them as the coordinators.
Okay.
They orchestrate the immune response.
They're like the generals.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They stimulate other immune cells like B cells, which produce antibodies,
Right.
and cytotoxic T cells, which we'll talk about in a sec.
Okay.
Then you have your cytotoxic T cells, also known as CD8 plus cells. These are the direct attack units.
Okay.
They kill infected or cancerous cells.
The frontline soldiers?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, what about regulatory T cells?
Oh, those are very important.
And memory T cells?
Yeah, those two.
What do those guys do? So regulatory T cells are like the peacekeepers. They help keep the immune system in check, prevent it from overreacting and attacking your own body.
Right, so they stop autoimmune diseases.
Exactly.
Gotcha. What about memory T cells?
Okay, so memory T cells are like the veterans. They remember past infections so that if you encounter the same threat again, your body can mount a much faster and more effective response.
Oh, that's very cool. So basically, our body learns from experience even on a cellular level.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
So just to summarize, T cells are vital for fighting off infections, keeping an eye out for and eliminating cancer cells, providing this crucial immune memory, and making sure the whole immune response is regulated and doesn't attack healthy cells. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It's a big job, but they do it well.
They do. And what I find really fascinating is how they learn to do all of this. They're produced in the bone marrow, like many blood cells are, but then they go through this training process in the thymus, right?
Yes. That's where they learn to distinguish between your own cells and foreign invaders, so they don't accidentally attack the wrong targets.
So it's like a boot camp for your immune system.
Exactly. It's essential for preventing autoimmune problems.
Okay, so we have a good understanding of the T cell team now. Let's move on to natural killer cells, or NK cells for short. What makes them unique?
So NK cells are also a type of white blood cell, but they're part of your innate immune system.
Okay, and innate immunity means?
It means they offer a more general and immediate response.
Oh, so they're like the first responders.
Exactly. They don't need prior exposure to a specific threat to recognize it as dangerous.
Got it. So while T cells are like the specialized forces that have to learn about specific threats, NK cells are more like the security guards that are always on alert.
That's a great way to put it. They're constantly patrolling, looking for anything that seems out of place.
And what kinds of threats are they particularly good at dealing with?
They're really good at recognizing and attacking stressed cells.
Stressed cells.
Yeah, so cells that have been infected by a virus or that have become cancerous, those cells often show signs of stress. And NK cells are very good at picking up on those signals.
Okay, so they're essentially on the lookout for any cells that are behaving suspiciously.
Exactly.
And what are some of their key roles in protecting us?
Well, they're crucial for that early defense against viral infections. They're also involved in cancer surveillance, making sure those abnormal cells don't have a chance to develop into a tumor.
So they're kind of like a preemptive strike force.
Yeah, you could say that.
Interesting. And they also help regulate inflammation by releasing signaling molecules called cytokines, right?
That's right. Cytokines are very important in the immune response.
Got it. So both T cells and NK cells are obviously vital for our protection, but there's some key differences in how they work.
Definitely.
NK cells are all about that immediate rapid response,
Right.
part of that innate immunity system, the first line of defense. T cells, on the other hand, they mount a more specific, targeted response over time, and they develop memory of specific invaders.
Yeah, they're more like the special ops team that gets called in for specific missions.
Right. And NK cells don't need to know exactly what the problem is, they just recognize that something is wrong.
Exactly.
Whereas T cells need that introduction to a specific pathogen before they can target it effectively.
That's right.
And just to recap, T cells mature in the thymus, while NK cells mature in peripheral tissues.
Yep. Different training grounds for different roles.
Okay, so we have these two distinct but incredibly important types of cells. How do they work together?
So NK cells provide that initial rapid response, buying time for the T cells to activate.
Right, so it's like the NK cells hold the line until the reinforcements arrive.
Exactly. And what's really cool is that NK cells can actually help stimulate the T cell response by releasing those cytokines.
So they're not just fighting off the threat, they're also calling in the cavalry.
Yeah, it's a real team effort.
Amazing. Can you give an example of how this might work in practice, say when you're fighting off an infection?
Sure, let's say you get exposed to a new virus. The NK cells are likely to be the first ones on the scene.
Okay.
They recognize the infected cells as being under stress, and they start eliminating them right away.
So they're containing the damage.
Yes. Meanwhile, the T cells are starting to recognize the specific components of the virus.
Okay.
And once the right type of T cells are activated, they multiply, and then they can specifically target and clear out all the infected cells.
So it's like a multi-stage defense strategy.
Exactly.
The NK cells provide the initial response, and then the T cells come in with a more targeted and long-lasting attack.
And then you have the memory T cells, which will remember that virus for the future.
Right, so if you encounter that same virus again, your body's ready for it.
Exactly.
That's incredible. Now let's get to the part that I know everyone is waiting for. We've learned what these cells are and how they work together,
Right.
but how can we support them? How can we make sure they're functioning at their best?
Well, the good news is that you have a lot of control over this. Lifestyle plays a huge role in immune function, and that includes the activity of both T cells and NK cells.
Okay, so what are some of the key things we can do?
Well, a healthy lifestyle is essential.
Of course.
A balanced diet, regular exercise, managing stress, getting enough sleep, all of these things are foundational.
Right, those are all important for overall health, but let's break it down a bit. What about diet specifically? What are some nutrients that are particularly important for T cells and NK cells?
So vitamins C and D are important, as well as minerals like zinc and selenium.
Okay, so where can we find those?
Citrus fruits are great for vitamin C. Leafy greens are good for a lot of things. Nuts and seeds have zinc and selenium, and fatty fish is a good source of vitamin D.
So a diverse and colorful diet is key.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are also some supplements that can help, like probiotics, elderberry, and echinacea.
Okay, but it's always best to talk to a doctor before starting any new supplements, right?
Yes.
Okay, what about exercise? How does that benefit our immune cells?
Well, regular moderate exercise is really good for boosting the circulation of immune cells, so it helps them get around the body more effectively.
Okay, so it's like getting the troops moving,
Exactly.
and it also helps reduce inflammation, which is good for the immune system overall.
Yes.
But too much exercise can actually be a bad thing, right?
Yeah, if you overdo it, it can actually suppress your immune system temporarily.
So moderation is key.
Always.
What about sleep? How important is that for our immune system?
Oh, sleep is essential.
Yeah, I know. I feel it when I don't get enough.
Yeah, we all do. It's during sleep that your body regulates the production of cytokines and other important immune components.
So if we're not getting enough sleep, our immune system isn't functioning at its best.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And finally, stress. We all know that stress is bad for us, but how does it specifically affect T cells and NK cells?
Well, chronic stress can actually suppress immune function and reduce the activity of those cells.
Oh, wow. So stress is literally making us more vulnerable to illness,
Yes, unfortunately. That's why finding ways to manage stress is so important.
like meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, things like that.
Exactly. Anything that helps you relax and de-stress.
Okay, so we've talked about the lifestyle factors that can support our immune cells. Now, the guide also touches on some really cutting-edge stuff, like how scientists are actually trying to make these cells even more powerful.
Yeah, there are some really exciting developments in the field of immunotherapy.
So what are some of the things they're working on?
Well, one area is using T cells to fight cancer.
Oh, wow. How does that work?
So there are these things called checkpoint inhibitors, which basically remove the brakes that cancer cells can put on T cells.
Okay.
So it allows the T cells to attack the cancer cells more effectively.
So we're essentially unleashing the power of our own immune system to fight the cancer.
Yes, exactly.
That's incredible. What about genetic modifications?
Yeah, that's another area of active research. Scientists are using technologies like CRISPR to actually modify the genes of T cells and NK cells
Wow, and what's the goal of that?
to enhance their ability to target specific threats like infections or cancer cells.
So they're basically engineering superpowered immune cells.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
It is. And what about adoptive cell transfer and CAR T cell therapy?
Okay, so these are personalized therapies where they take a patient's own immune cells, usually T cells, and then they modify them in a lab to make them more effective at targeting specific threats.
Okay.
And then they infuse these modified cells back into the patient.
So it's like giving your immune system a customized upgrade.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really remarkable. So we've learned so much about these amazing cells, T cells and NK cells.
They are amazing, aren't they?
They really are. And it's so empowering to know that we can actually do things to support them and make sure they're functioning at their best. It all comes back to those lifestyle factors we talked about. A healthy diet, regular exercise, stress management, and enough sleep.
It really does.
So I guess a question for our listeners is, what small changes can you make in your life today to support these incredible cells that are working so hard to protect you?
Yeah, think about what we've discussed. What can you do to improve your diet, get more exercise, manage your stress, and prioritize sleep?
And remember, for more resources on how to support your overall health and well-being, you can visit the Remedify coaching program at https://website.beacons.aakk2020.
That's right.
Your health is your responsibility.
It really is.
And as you go about your day, take a moment to appreciate the incredible work that these cells are doing inside you right now, keeping you healthy and protected.
It really is something to marvel at.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the world of T cells and natural killer cells on the Remedify Coaching Program podcast.
My pleasure.
And thank you for listening to the Remedify Coaching Program podcast.